Good evening. I'm Stacey Amos for News Channel 8. If you haven't heard by now, you must have heard already that Hovensa is closing its doors right here, one of the largest oil refineries in the world. We're going to take you to the press video that Hovensa sent to us recently.
Hovensa announced on January 18th that it will shut down its St. Croix refinery. Following the shutdown, the complex will operate as an oil storage terminal. Losses have totaled $1.3 billion in the past 3 years and were projected to continue. These losses have been caused primarily by weakness in demand for refined petroleum products, the addition of new refining capacity, and the low price of natural gas in the United States. Hovensa explored all available options to avoid this outcome, but severe financial losses left no other choice. Formal shutdown will occur by the middle of February. Most employees will continue working through a transition period. Thereafter, approximately 100 people will remain to work at the oil storage terminal. Hovensa will provide significantly enhanced benefits for those union and salaried employees who are impacted and will honor its scholarship commitments. Hovensa has a long, proud history as a corporate citizen in the Virgin Islands and will work closely with the government to ease the transition for the community.
And we're going to take it to West Small, which is honestly one of the brightest spots in this dark day today because he's back, and we are so glad to have him back. But he's with Alex Moorhead, Vice President of Operations at Hovensa, right now.
Thank you very much, Stacey. Indeed, devastating news for our territory and the United States Virgin Islands. Here with Vice President Alex Moorhead. Alex, for years I've said you're kind of on your way out, but it just seems like they keep calling you back in. It is devastating news that Hovensa didn't seem as possible, that they are leaving our territory today in a special press release. Alex, God, I don't know if words can describe. We're going to be going to the governor, or we've heard from the governor already as we've broken in several times to ABC programming throughout the day. It's an impact that will be felt throughout the world because the Hovensa refinery is one of the largest refineries in the entire world.
Thank you. Well, first let me just say we're not leaving. Hovensa is not leaving the islands. Hovensa is closing the refining operation, but it will continue to operate an oil storage terminal, and in that capacity it will employ about 100 people. So we're not leaving. The reason for this is that the company has suffered losses of $1.3 billion over the last 3 years, and those losses are projected to continue. And we explored a number of options to avoid this outcome, but unfortunately the magnitude of the losses made it impossible for us to come up with any other option. We intend to provide enhanced benefits to all our employees so that it would assist them in a transition period, and we will meet with the government to work out a transition plan so we'll have a easy transition, not only for employees but for the entire community.
What will happen with the WAPA agreement and the fact that we are already crippled with the LEAC, the fact that we get a lot of our energy and our oil from Hovensa?
The Hovensa's current contract with the Water and Power Authority, it's a 1-year contract. It expires at the end of June. We are going to honor that contract, and beyond that we are having discussions with the Water and Power Authority to do what we can to help them with an orderly transition.
One more thing. What's going to happen to the refinery when y'all shut it down? Will another oil company possibly come here and take over? Or what will all this space be used for? Storage?
All the space will be used for operation of a oil storage terminal that will take not all the acreage that we currently use, but it will continue activity here, whereby hopefully will continue to be an employer, and which will provide wages, benefits to 100 people.
Right now, let's go to Governor John Dejongh as he held an emergency teleconference with the media on the phones, in person as well, in St. Thomas, as he delivers the devastating news to the Virgin Island territory.
Yesterday, I was informed by John Hess, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Hess Corporation, that the management of the Hovensa refinery on St. Croix was going to be notified this morning at 8:30 on the announcement that the Hovensa refinery would be closed. Mr. Hess stated that after losing $1.5 billion over the last 3 years, Hess Corporation, along with his partner, had decided that the refinery would cease its refining operations and close within the next 90 days. As everyone is aware, the Hovensa workforce includes over 2,000 men and women on the island of St. Croix, which is a combination of direct staff and also subcontractors that work for Hovensa. Even after the terrible economic realities of these past several years, it is hard to imagine any single piece of economic news worse for this territory at this time than what was delivered to me yesterday by Mr. Hess. Now more than ever, the residents of the Virgin Islands will be tested. We must come together as a people and as a community, and we must work together. First, to support those workers who will be immediately affected by these actions, and by extension their families, as well as the rest of the community who will suffer the economic and social consequences of the loss of the territory's largest private employer. To begin the process of responding to this news and to activate what I believe to be necessary, this morning I convened an emergency meeting of some of the key government officials who will be charged with assessing Hovensa's actions and deciding what actions we need to take, both with respect to discussions with Hovensa, but more broadly within the context of our overall community. Additionally, I've spoken to Senate President Ronald Russell and asked him to organize an immediate meeting of the full membership of the 29th legislature with me so that we can sit down and discuss courses of actions and what is needed to be able to, one, address the immediate situation, but consider the long-term ramifications. I've also urged him not to postpone or delay the Senate action on the agenda items that they set for consideration at this Friday's session. The very last thing I believe our community needs right now is to endure the dismissal of more government workers on top of those that will be impacted by this action with Hovensa with respect to closing the refinery on St. Croix. I've also had initial talks with the leadership of the St. Thomas, St. John Chamber of Commerce, led by Richard Berry. I also spoke with the executive director of the St. Croix Chamber of Commerce, Michael Dembeck, this morning, with the intent of how can we work together to mitigate this loss that is taking place with the closing of the refinery. What do we need to do with respect to addressing some immediate items? And I've also asked that both chambers meet with me so that we can sit down and talk with respect to those items.
Executive Director Hugo Hodge, with the news, of course, from Hovensa today, how are we going to handle the fuel situation?
Well, there is a multiple-step approach that we'll take. First of all, we've been looking at the situation from a distance for a while, and we've been putting some contingency planning in place. So I'm prepared as this comes to light. But we'll have our discussion with Hovensa. We haven't met with Hovensa yet, so I'll be calling Mr. Lever and Olivier and scheduling that meeting and making sure we're clear as to what is going to be available and for how long with Hovensa. Our understanding right now is that they'll deliver until the end of June to us for our delivery contract. Once we get this confirmed, or simultaneously, we'll be seeing who's all available in the region. There are several other fuel suppliers in the region delivered to other islands. So we'll see who's available, who has the fuel spec that's required by our EPA permits available. If none have that spec available, then we'll approach the EPA, and we'll see what needs to be done from that point.
Executive Director Hodge, as far as you having the confidence as far as all the things that you just said, what about the increase in fuel? You think that's going to affect our LEOC?
Well, if there's an increase in price, yes, there will be. That's left to be seen what the effect is going to be. If it's going to be the same exact spec and grade fuel, I imagine there'll be an increase. How much of an increase, whether we're able to get some of our efficiency measures on before this takes place, also plays a role. So, there's more components to the LEOC than just the fuel price, but we'll be able to know that as we move forward in the process. It'll be clear at that time what the potential impact on the price may be.
There was a homicide homicide reported today in Buttsburg, right here on St. Croix. We have Wes Small with the details.
The body of artist Robert Johnson, who we believe is 73 years old or thereabouts, was discovered by one of his workers apparently on these grounds. Details are still sketchy. Right now, that's all we know. Cause of death will be determined later by autopsy. As the camera pans around here, we're trying to use discretion because family members and residents and forensics are trying to get this situation worked out. But here, as we take a view of this lovely home in estate Buttsburg, which is near Buccaneer and so forth, we have to tell you that this is a blow to the entire community. Not only the art community here, but just the community on whole. Robert Johnson was a longtime friend and an artist here, and he always lended a helping hand to the community. This will definitely devastate the community. This is all we know. We'll have to wait and get with Melody Rames or Police Chief Hal later on. If you know anything about this horrible crime, you should call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS, or you should call 911 immediately to stop this carnage. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
We'll be right back after these messages. We have some information on the National Guard. Here's the story.
Welcome to the groundbreaking ceremony for the Ving Joint Force Headquarters. And due to the inclement weather, we had to move the ceremony indoors into this classroom. We were initially set up to do it outside near this site. It has taken us a whole lot of years to get to this point. Almost from the Guard's inception in 1973, the Adjutant General and facility officers of the Ving have pursued the goal of constructing our own headquarters facility. The concept was repeatedly submitted through the National Guard Bureau for inclusion in the major construction program of the Army. To assist in this endeavor, the Ving partnered with Jacobs Engineering in 2005 to conduct a project planning document charrette to refine the project concept and develop cost estimates for future years' construction in the event the project was selected for funding. Tip Top Construction was awarded the $20.9 million construction contract last September with an anticipated completion date in late 2013. And thus, here we are today to break ground for our new Joint Force Headquarters, which will house the territorial offices of the Adjutant General and the Ving's Army and Air National Guard headquarters elements in a state-of-the-art facility.
And while we are just breaking ground, today is far from the beginning of this project. In fact, it has been years in the making, as Colonel Landclose has alluded to. But what an honor and distinction to be part of this amazing history of the Virgin Islands National Guard. A history of executing the vision of those that came before us, however small or large a part they played. Today we recognize them and are thankful for their contributions.
So with these facilities being built, the civilian aid mentioned the fact it's a building, but it's what's in the building and what's produced. For those of us who are here, we have to take pride in maintaining the facilities, because maintenance plays a major role. You could have a brand new facilities, but without maintenance, it means nothing to us. But for those individuals who gave the ultimate sacrifice, we actually honor them for what they have done for this great nation.
Did Slevin do it again? We'll let you know. Tortola horse racing update is coming right up. Over the weekend was the first leg of the Triple Crown. Let's see some horse racing from Tortola.
Thanks a lot, Stacy. This past weekend at the Ellis Thomas Downs Racetrack in Tortola, we had the first leg of the inaugural VI Triple Crown. Well, before the race, fans saw the BVI legend Expectation, who is still looking good. Wonder if they're planning to race him again. Well, making his way from the Big Island of St. Croix is James Bobo Bates' horse Slevin, who many are saying is the favorite to win it all. Also from St. Croix was political reporter. We had out of St. Thomas Diablo's Fire, and out of Tortola we had East End Tap and Good Prospecting. Well, we canvassed the crowd to find out who they like in the feature race.
Prospecting. I stay home. Are you going with Lesmo or Eastern Tap? Anyone? I think I would go with the one Diablo's Fire.
You don't know Crucian all the way St. Croix. We run
Slevin by far, breaking the track record to them. No record until too long.
Isaac Crucian, two of them.
Good perspective. Good perspective. Same thing.
I stick with Diablo Fire one.
Slevin.
Slevin.
Slevin. I like Slevin.
Eastern Tap.
It got to be Slevin. Can he just prove himself over and over? He's the best horse in the 3 islands right now. It got to be Slevin all the way.
Well, you know, it's only one goal we go. I go in there, it's always synchro.
Diablo Fire all the way. We're bringing it home. It's not a joke.
My favorite is Eastern Tap. I've always been a fan of Eastern Tap, so I'll just stick around and see what happens today.
Diablo Fire all the way to win the big race.
I'm going to go against him. I'm going with Slevin.
This is Barbara Peterson, the St. Thomas Water Administrator, and of course, I'm going with Diablo Fire, St. Thomas horse, because I'm from St. Thomas. I can't go with any other horse.
But I bet on Slevin.
Yeah, I picked Slevin to win the mile race today because of the distance. I figure he can make it work because of, you know, the speed that he got running the track.
Speed?
Speed. He got speed.
What speed?
I think he's small. The racetrack favors small horses, and I think that he can. Win the track.
So what speed you talking about? So you going against St. Thomas, a St. Thomas horse?
Yeah, well, I'm not going against St. Thomas. If I'm betting money, where my money goes.
Your money's supposed to stay in St. Thomas.
Yeah, well, you're gonna see. I choose Slevin, and you see when the race over. Slevin will win it all.
Okay, well, we're going to go to Diablo Fire, and we're going to see who will take it all, bring it home.
Well, we'll see in a minute. The race is getting ready to go, and whatever you want to bet, we make a bet right now.
As a matter of fact, right, when the number 2 horse come in, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got 6, 7 drinks to buy.
That's not a pound. When the number is Slevin?
He's number 4.
When the number 4 horse come in, you got 7 drinks to buy.
Well, we had different views, but Slevin was the clear favorite. Folks, without any further ado, let's go to the call of the race.
I got a triple crown. They're standing quality, now racing time. And they come in every day. Slevin does the break. They're both points for reporter rushing to the front, but right there is good prospecting alongside the rail. It has speed duel up early, and the inside good prospecting. And the outside, here comes political reporter. Slevin is running third, then you have Eastern Tap and Diablo Fire rushing up early. Up the back of the goal, alongside the rail. Good prospecting number head in front. Right there, second political reporter. Slevin is running third, running in between us and Eastern Tap and Diablo Fire. They hit the cover start. Good prospecting in front by a length and a half. Right there, second political reporter. Slevin alongside the rail. And they're coming down the stretch for the first time. It is good prospecting up to the front end by a length and a half. Here comes Slevin rushing up between horses. Political reporter, Eastern Tap and Diablo Fire. It is still good prospecting. But here comes Slevin. So Slevin is rushing up between horses. Here coming the outside Eastern Tap as they hit the bench for the second time. There goes Slevin. The cruise on the belly from by a length. Right there, Slevin is good prospecting. Here comes Eastern Tap. Political reporter and Diablo Fire. Up the back to the goal. Slevin there. And there goes Slevin. Slevin is won by 2. Here comes Eastern Tap. But Slevin is in him. Put on your triple crown shoes. There goes Slevin by 2. Here comes Eastern Tap. But it's all Slevin. Slevin is won by 3. God prospecting is coming back alongside Eastern Tap. And down you set the goal. There goes the Cruiser won the horse. The best horse ever in St. Croix. 7 by 4. 7 by 5. It's a ridiculous race. Slevin is the greatest we have seen.
Wow, oh wowie. It was Slevin, about 5 lengths, winning the first leg of the VI Triple Crown, along with his $10,000 purse. After the race, we were able to speak to Jackie Emmanuel and owner James Bubble Bates, who was accompanied by his proud mom Angelita Encarnacion, who said she was just a little nervous before the race.
I was frightened. I couldn't watch, but I tell you, I race car by a bit.
Well, everyone is already naming Slevin the Triple Crown winner, but James said not so fast. Anything can happen in horse racing. He's just concerned about getting his horse back home safely.
Like that. I mean, we want to make sure he come out from the race. I got to go back up there and ice him and everything. We got to get ready to go on the boat. That's the only concern. He can't get to sit down and relax before we go back to the boat. So 7 o'clock we got to hit the boat, and St. Thomas will be in St. Thomas tonight. We're leaving Tuesday for the morning. So that's the only concern I get right now. When he get back to St. Croix, I just got to make sure everything go good with him, eating and everything, give him some grass and everything to go back on the boat, you know what I mean, and take care of him from that, and just hope that everything go good for the February 19th race. Eastern Tap said that he want a longer track, and I know things could happen over there. Our track got bigger turns and everything. It's a mile and 16. Eastern Tap we're closing, so we just got to get our horse ready for the mile and 16.
Jackie Emmanuel says Slevin might break his own record next race day on St. Croix.
The last time we run in St. Croix, he broke the record. And I believe I don't let him run his whole race. So last time, I slowed down a little bit in. When we go back to St. Croix, I believe he's going to break his own record.
Well, the second leg of the VI Triple Crown is on February 19th on St. Croix at the Randall Doc James Racetrack. You don't want to miss it. That's a look at the Sports 4-1 update. I'm Stephen Francis for News Channel 8. Back to you, Stacy.